Hey everybody, it's Leeroy from Leeroy Gaming, and today I'm here to talk to you about Diablo 4, and more specifically about the news that the closed beta is coming soon, and start a discussion with you guys in the comments about whether you think this is something that's going to be pay to access or pay to beta. Do make sure to check out the relevant part of the video when I discuss this, and let your thoughts be heard. So let's go ahead and take a look at this information. I know I'm a little late to the party for this, but it's been a little crazy on my end of things, but I did want to discuss this because I do love all things Diablo. So let's go ahead and take a look at what is coming to the Diablo 4 beta that is hitting really, really soon. So the first thing I want to point out, what I really like, is that this closed beta is going to include playable PC, Xbox Series X/S, Xbox One, PlayStation 5, and PlayStation 4 console play with cross-play enabled, as well as cross-progression. So this is really, really cool. I actually really like the whole PC and mobile cross-progression that came with Diablo Immortal, and this is kind of in a similar light. So for those of you that like to play across different consoles, this is really, really nice, and it looks like it's going to be being tested in a closed beta as well. So that's a nice little initial point. Now, it is important to note that this is the end game only, and I'm actually really happy about this. I remember in old school Diablo 3 betas, etc., you got access like to the first act, and to be honest, while that's kind of interesting, it does spoil the game, and you don't really get to test the full power of the classes. Instead, we're going to be doing the polar opposite here, and they're going to be talking about very specific features. They're going to be talking about Helltide, Nightmare Dungeons, Whispers of the Dead, Fields of Hatred, and Paragon Boards. We will discuss all of that in this video here, so let's take a look. So we'll start with Helltides, which is interesting, and the information says, while roaming Sanctuary on foot or atop your trusty steed, be aware of your surroundings, for you might find yourself caught in a Helltide. This is a new region-wide event that becomes available to heroes only once they have reached World Tier 3, Nightmare difficulty. In a Helltide, the servants of Lilith are empowered, having their difficulty increased, but dropping loot worthy of the danger. Her mightiest minions are also out in greater force, and the very ground of Sanctuary, as you know it, has been morphed by the surge of demonic activity. As you call the monstrosities inhabiting a Helltide, they'll potentially drop cinders, a new currency that can be spent to open Helltide chests scattered throughout the respective region. These chests boast bountiful boons exclusive to a singular item slot, such as a torso, leg, or two-handed weapon. But be wary in hoarding your cinders. Should you fall in battle, they'll drop and must be reclaimed. So there's a couple of things that I want to discuss here. First of all, the realization that saying World Tier 3 is Nightmare difficulty. So if I remember correctly, I believe in like Diablo 3, Diablo 2, Nightmare was difficulty 2, and then Hell difficulty was 3. So I don't know if they just reshuffled this, renamed this, or whether this is truly the highest difficulty, or the first difficulty that simply allows access to the Helltides, and then there's going to be a Hell difficulty and various tiers of Hell difficulty after that. So that's the first thing that jumped out to me. The next thing is this concept of a transforming landscape, and we also saw this in Diablo Immortal. So for those of you that don't know, once you hit level 60, which is the max level in Diablo Immortal, unlike level 50 here in Diablo 4, you go into kind of Paragon tier level 1, and the world transforms. Everything goes to level 60. New features pop up, including kind of world quests, world events, more difficult situations. There's also kind of random chests that you require multiple people to unlock. So while it's a little different than the Helltides, obviously, the idea of having this dramatically more difficult world with new events popping up is not new by any means. So this sounds kind of very similar to that. Now, this whole idea of cinders opening these hell chests that provide these boons to singular item slots. I'm very curious about this. Is this kind of like a specific legendary enchant or boost to those slots that's temporary, or is it permanent until you replace it with something else? Also very interesting that if you die, you drop it. Now, is there a way to permanently lose it or other people steal it? We don't know, but it's an interesting baseline concept. So this will be interesting when they do share more information on this. Now, next we have Nightmare Dungeons, and they say, we've crafted a difficulty of Diablo dungeons straight out of your nightmares. No, really, Nightmare difficulty dungeons, Diablo 4 unlock upon locating your first Nightmare sigil. Each sigil corresponds to a specific dungeon somewhere within Sanctuary. These sigils will add special modifiers to their dungeons, increasing the ferocity of the hell servants waiting for you inside and providing higher rarity loot. Through completing Nightmare Dungeons, you will recover even more powerful sigils, introducing increasingly death-defying modifications and challenges for you to overcome. As you progress into higher and more challenging world tiers, new Nightmare Dungeons will become available for you to explore. So this is interesting. You know, it's not new to have these kind of dungeon modifiers dropping, whether they're maps. Path of Exile was one of the first ones to really explore this, and a lot of different knockoffs of that have been around. It's interesting how it's going to be, these kind of sigils are going to drop for specific dungeons. I don't know if there's going to be tiers of dungeons, meaning initially you only find sigils for, tier A of dungeons, and then there's a whole second tier and third tier of dungeons that's somehow rated. So this will be interesting. I don't know if this is anything kind of new or special, but it's another way for you to kind of explore the open world and travel to these different dungeons if you are actually going to have to travel to these locations. So this will kind of, keep you in that world out there. This, very similar to Diablo Immortal, is going to have kind of multiplayer elements where if you're running out in the world, you may very well run into other players. So I think it's trying to create this massive multiplayer feel. If you're kind of running out and around and not just jumping into portals and doing kind of deep dive dungeons as you do in Diablo 3, it's going to increase player involvement. So I think that's the goal here. All right, next we have Whispers of the Dead. The Tree of Whispers has a few loose ends to tie up and needs your help setting the score. Displayed on your map, players will see various whispers scattered throughout Sanctuary. Complete the associated task and be met with experience gold and grim favors. Number of grim favors you receive from completing a whisper varies, but once you collect 10 grim favors from the dearly departed, they can be exchanged at the Tree of Whispers for a bevy of loot and experience to reward your heroics. Types of whispers a player sees on a map rotates frequently, with new ones becoming available through the day for you to track. Each whisper will offer both a different set of rewards and experience for completing it. Traditionally, the Whispers of the Dead system does not become available for players until after completing a specific chapter of the main questline. For the closed beta, players will be able to engage with the system right out of the gate. So to me, this sounds kind of like a daily quest setup or scenario where you got a variety of tasks you can complete, and they're going to rotate, and you can do X amount of them. So, and it seems kind of has nondescript rewards. So I feel like this is a way to help you with the grind, especially the Paragon grind we're going to see discussed in a moment here. I doubt this is going to be access to very good loot. It's going to be kind of entry level and tier loot, and then the dungeons and the more difficult elements I think are going to give you the good stuff. But I think this is just something, especially for the casual player, to be able to kind of farm on a daily basis and give them some direction. That's just my thought based off this description. But do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, next we have Fields of Hatred. Born from the contempt of mortals, Mephisto has cursed specific areas of Sanctuary, transforming them into deadly fields of hatred. These designated PvP zones are the proving grounds for players looking to bring renown to their name through blood and zeal. While inside of the Fields of Hatred, players can dispatch demons to collect seeds of hatred. To make use of these seeds, you'll need to bring them to the altar of extraction, where they can be smashed into red dust. Be quick to convert your seeds of hatred to red dust. They are desire of other players looking in the zone, and if they are skilled enough to overtake you in combat, your seeds of hatred will be dropped. Going through the trouble of transforming seeds of hatred into red dust does have its merits. Red dust will not be lost if you are felled. Can also be spent at the PvP cosmetic and mount vendor for ornamental rewards. You will be able to forge a name for yourself in these tainted lands. Interesting. So, a couple thoughts on this. It is not easy to balance Diablo PvP. I went to multiple years of BlizzCon where Diablo 3 had actual kind of arena PvP. I think I went through 2 or 3 years that I went and had 2 or 3 iterations, and it was definitely not balanced. If I remember correctly, a lot of times it was just wizards AoE bombing people from like almost off screen before they could even get to them. And the question was, okay, what do you do? Do you bounce around PvP and then make the PvE elements really unbalanced or not really fun because they're nerfed across the board just to be good against players? Do you have completely different stats for PvE and PvP gameplay? And I think in Diablo 3, that was going to be too much work. And since they didn't have it as a live action service, there was no way to really fund that support. So long story short, in Diablo 3, they canceled that and they put in that kind of casual PvP mode that wasn't really much of anything. And they said, hey, it's not going to be balanced, but have fun if you want to do it. It was more like dueling, and that's about it. So here, you're going to have world PvP. Now, because this game is going to have a cost shop and various ways to monetize, I do wonder if they are going to be able to avoid giving player power. For those that play Diablo Immortal, you know that Diablo Immortal is all about player power, especially in PvP, through spending money. And there's just no comparison. All the top PvP people are the ones that spend, 10, 15, 20,000 real dollars, etc. And it's kind of crazy. So balancing that is pretty much impossible. So here, I think if they really want to make this PvP viable and not have an uproar from the community, they need to make sure that there is no pay-to-power mechanic or pay-to-win mechanic in Diablo 4. Again, they haven't confirmed or really denied to what extent this is going to be included in Diablo 4. But this seems interesting, and if it's kind of fair, I'm curious how they're going to group people. I know there's instancing in Diablo 4, so are they going to kind of have people of roughly equivalent power levels spawn in similar areas, or is it going to be a true free-for-all? This could be fun, or this could be something that a lot of people just avoid if they find that it's completely unbalanced. So we will only know in the future when they give us more information on this. And then let's talk about Paragon Boards. Upon reaching level 50, the Paragon Boards are an endgame character growth system designed to empower your hero. Unlocks. As your hero earns experience, they will receive Paragon points. These points can be spent to unlock new titles, sockets, and even additional Paragon Boards to further customize your hero and ascend to new heights of power. And so they had a previous posting about this that I missed covering. Sorry about that. But here's kind of what it looked like. And this is obviously a work in progress. This is really kind of ghetto. There's no graphics interface, but it kind of shows you how you can unlock and spend points, kind of work your way towards certain sections. And the different tiles will give you different buffs, something as simple as a couple points in strength, some resistances, or even like here's a legendary Warbringer example. While your fury is about 50%, you do 30% more damage, etc. So this is something that's interesting. This is going to be the new end game grind. I don't mind this. This definitely, I think, is better than the old school Paragon alternate leveling system from Diablo 3, where you're just putting points into pure strength, pure dexterity, a little magic find, a little gold find, etc. So this is really, really nice. In Diablo Immortal, they also had kind of a Paragon progression system, and they had like kind of little boards, but you would get passive buffs and then some active buffs, and you could swap between different kind of formats. So there was like a very offensive PvE board, and then there was a PvP board and a defensive board, and you could always unlock all the passives for all of them, but you could only have one board worth of actives going on. I kind of like that for the most part, but this sounds like there's even more depth, a long-term kind of potential progression for you. So I like that a lot. And then finally, the final section here that talks about who will be invited. The official statement is specifically we'll be using data to invite a limited number of Diablo players who have recently spent significant amount of time playing endgame experiences Diablo 2 Resurrection, Diablo 3, and Diablo in Immortal. And my real question here is this going to favor people that have spent a lot of money on Diablo Immortal? Now, this is something that's going to be really hard to kind of prove or analyze because A, it's a closed beta. Nobody that's going to be in it is going to be allowed to talk about it. And I don't think it's a coincidence. Those that spend a ton of money in Diablo Immortal probably are also playing a lot because they're pretty committed. So it may be, which came first, the chicken or the egg, the hours or the money. And obviously Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, there is no pay-to-win shop. So in those cases, it wouldn't, they can only really view it based off time. But I am curious if this is something they factor in. I don't think they'll ever admit it, but it also is one of those things in the back of mind of big spenders like, hey, if I spend enough money, maybe I can get into this beta. Or those people that haven't been spending as much money on Diablo Immortal, like, man, maybe if I drop a couple $100 right now, I'll increase my chance of getting into the beta. Again, they haven't said anything. They did say gameplay data, but again, I mean, part of the gameplay is spending money in the shop. So they didn't say it has nothing to do with your spending habits. I would feel more comfortable to say, pure gameplay data, and then parentheses saying, need not spend money on the cash shop to have a chance to enter. Like a lot of, when you see a lot of contests, they'll say in parentheses, no purchase necessary for your chance to win, send in such and such information for your free chance to win. So that is my thought on it. I mean, I'm going to give Diablo or Blizzard the benefit of the doubt here, mainly because they are including Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. Maybe they want to be fair and say, hey, because there's no way to monetize the other areas, they're going to just do pure hours spent and endgame content, etc. Maybe they look at achievements, who's become immortals, who's done like the highest PvP. I don't know. But I would love to hear your thoughts on it. What do you think? Do you think this is going to be fair? Do you think there's going to be kind of pay to beta elements? Do you think a higher disproportion of players that did spend a lot of money on Diablo Immortal will be in this beta compared to anybody else? Let me know in your thoughts below. And again, guys, thank you for watching this video and for the support. I will do my best to continue to provide you more RPG, looter shooter goodness and other kind of games that I enjoy here. And hopefully you'll show up, like, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.